So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They
Yep.
cleaned house. They cut some players yesterday, Mitch Trubisky being one of them. They've already hired a new offensive coordinator, and a name that's been surfacing as a possible new quarterback is the Chicago Bears quarterback, Justin Fields. I already know Tyvis, go Bucks. But does this move or potential move of Justin Fields to Pittsburgh, does it worry you a little, scare you a little bit? Like, how do you all feel about that?
Russ would scare me a lot more.
I don't disagree with you because he shredded us last year, and I told you the weaknesses right now for our defense is going up against a quarterback that knows what he's doing. I mean, in Denver, he'd have essentially probably more weapons in Pittsburgh than he did in Denver.
They got some weapons, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they would be fine with him. But Justin Fields just brings the athletic standpoint to it where you got to chase down this guy and you got to pray that it's not the day that he's on. When Justin Fields is accurate and he's consistent, he's as good as any quarterback in the league. He make throws and darts that every quarterback in the league can make. But when he's inconsistent and he overthrowing stuff, that's when it's bad. But as far as that running ability goes, I mean, that's always something that's going to scare a defense. That's going to keep your defensive coordinator up at night. And you think about George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, the two-headed run game that they got, and you add Justin Fields with that, that's a pretty decent offense.
This may not be totally fair, but Mason Rudolph was supposed to be the heir apparent to Roethlisberger. Remember that? Remember those days?
Yes.
It was supposed to be Rudolph. How'd that work out?
Nope.
Never developed him.
Well, he won their last couple.
He had a couple moments,
yeah.
but, I mean, clearly they don't believe in him. They're back out shop for
that's
another
clear as
quarterback.
day.
So Rudolph didn't work. They tried developing Kenny Pickett. That didn't work. They tried Trubisky off the scrap heap, and that didn't work. And now the new offensive coordinator, who I've heard good things about, Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Falcons, is there because he chose the wrong quarterback in Atlanta. So is this really a quarterback whisperer? The whole reason he got fired is because he chose Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
So I don't have a whole lot of faith in Mike Tomlin or Arthur Smith or anyone with the Steelers developing a quarterback because they don't have a very good track record of it. That's why I say Russ would scare me going to Pittsburgh a whole lot more than I believe that the Steelers can take someone who probably has been damaged by what he's gone through in Chicago. Certainly probably needs a fresh start, but I don't know that they're the ones to sort of pick him up, cleanse them, rehab him, and make him a viable NFL starter.
At the end of it, I think that with the weapons that he has around him, I think the biggest difference between him and Kenny Pickett is obviously the mobility.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to necessarily fix your offensive line that much. You have to do something to it because it's not that great. But he can overcome that because he's done it in Chicago. He's ran for his life in Chicago for 2 years. So he can still keep that offense going and it can be serviceable and use that run game came to life. And it shows you that if you got a quarterback that players believe in, they played better with Mason Rudolph in there.
Yeah, they did.
So it's there. It's just a couple of things that they need to tweak a little bit as far as the offensive line. And like I said, if they got a quarterback that's mobile that can survive or that can get away or escape the pocket a couple of times to bring extra yards, that's still really good.
Let me preface what I'm going to say with this. It worries me a little bit because anyone is an upgrade over what they had last year. As a Browns fan, someone who wants the Steelers to stay at the bottom of the AFC North, keep Kenny Pickett. He's great. He's the guy. He just needs more time to develop. His tiny hands will grow. He's going to be a guy who could throw 11 touchdowns in one season. He's the guy. Stick with him. Give him a little patience.
Now, if he ends up becoming the guy, you're going to be bad.
That's fine. So anyone, frankly, I think anyone's an upgrade. And maybe I'll be wrong, I'm not buying the Justin Fields hype. He's fine. He's solid. He could be an okay quarterback. But after 3 years of having, and granted, Chicago was a train wreck. Their coaching staff did not put him in a position to succeed. But if you still have to ask yourself, is this the guy after 3 years? In most cases, there are exceptions, but in most cases, the answer is no. And if you're bringing in a guy like Justin Fields, who will be on the fourth year of his deal, you have to decide, give him the fifth-year option. How are you going to handle the money? Are you going to pay him and invest in him as your franchise quarterback? Guys, he's an average passer of the football.
Who?
Justin Fields. He has the talent. His arm's phenomenal. But from what I've seen, he's a slow processor. He's an indecisive quarterback. And he's phenomenal with his legs, but I don't think you could just win as a mobile quarterback in today's NFL. So I'm not too worried about Justin Fields going to Pittsburgh if that's the quarterback they decide to become the next guy in line. I'd be more scared of a guy like Russ Wilson, who's a little more proven, and I think he might not have the same ceiling at this point of his career, but his floor is nowhere near as low as Justin Fields is.
When it comes to the quarterback thing, it's all about getting them with the right play caller. Mm-hmm. That's, like I said, I always talk about Aaron Rodgers and what's the guy?
Nathaniel Hackett,
Joe Flacco, Kevin Stefanski. Like, you get with the right play caller that understands your style and you run it. Their style fits what you're best at. Magic happens. Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid. Like, it's just what it is. I don't know if Arthur Smith and Justin is great. I don't know if Arthur Smith and Russell. What I will tell you about Russell is I know he got a bunch of coordinators fired in Seattle, which is crazy to sit there and think about that. But Arthur Smith and Russell could be great. Arthur Smith and Justin Fields could be great. I don't know. I would have to see what it looks like when it gets there. But from an athletic standpoint, I would fear Justin more than I would Russell. Even though Russell understands the game of football and he hurt the Browns. Oh, he cut them deep. It's just something about I at nighttime as a DB, as a DN, as a linebacker, to know that I got to chase down this quarterback bothers me more than a guy who's going to sit in the pocket. If the pass rush gets there, we'll win. But if the pass rush gets there and he still escapes and he can, by the way, get 1,000 yards a season with his legs, that's scary.
I believe Justin Fields could still have a good NFL career, a very good NFL career. I'm just not sure the Steelers are the organization to pull it out of him. For as good as they are, make the playoffs every year, we know that. Predicated on defense for the most part. Aside from Roethlisberger, who was a Hall of Fame talent, they've had a number of years now to try and develop somebody, and they've missed multiple times. I'm not sure that's the organization.
They getting Le'Veon Bell back.
Yeah, okay.
He said he'd come out of retirement just
only
for them.
Pittsburgh.
Did he bother asking anyone in Pittsburgh if they want him back? That was kind of important.
Those were the glory days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think Justin Fields is bad. I think he's okay. I think he's fine, and he certainly has potential. I'm just not banking.
So if
you're going to make a move for Justin Fields, you have to kind of decide if you want to pay him, right? Like he's going. So it's not like a rental. It's something you have to decide. This is either the guy who's going to be our next franchise guy, and you got to pay him.
I guess you get 1 year look at him.
If Justin Fields is the only team that should trade for Justin Fields, is maybe potentially two. It's either the Falcons or the Raiders. Them the only two teams that I would even outside of those.
Pittsburgh's
two,
not one of them.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. For the reason that he said. But I feel like in Atlanta, there's so much talent around him. Like, they're literally just a quarterback away.
Well, they hired Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator from
the Rams.
The Rams.
Yeah.
And his philosophy, and he's under the McVay tree, is a precision timing offense. I don't necessarily know if Fields fits that mantra, but who knows?
If he is I think that would probably work best for him, right? You come out there and say your first read is here and you need to get it out at time. That takes the thinking out of it.
I was looking at it from more of an accuracy standpoint.
He could be. That's the thing. He could be. He's made passes where he's extremely accurate.
His career is 60% completion percentage in 3 seasons now.
Well, give me some guys how many people is that much better? What's Watson, 63?
Well, the league average this year was 64.5.
This year?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, 4% off. That ain't bad.
And listen, I'm not I'm not saying Fields is terrible. I just don't know if he's the guy that fits that system. Is all I'm saying.
He is so hard because they don't have nothing in Chicago but DJ Moore.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what.
And their coaching staff was abysmal.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing.
Their coaching staff did
that man no favors.
Yeah.
So it's in a situation where I don't know what to do. I don't know what you should do.
Do you think he's repairable? He's obviously damaged goods coming out of Chicago because of the whole coaching debacle he's been through for 3 years. Would you bet over under? I don't want to say Pro Bowl because everyone gets in the Pro Bowl, but over under. We'll say a Pro Bowl, 1 Pro Bowl year for Justin Fields in his career.
You can get that from just running.
No, but not an injury replacement Pro Bowl. He's one of the 3 quarterbacks selected. Over under 1. Over under half.
No. In the AFC?
Any conference.
Maybe in the NFC, but the AFC, no.
So do you take the under?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the NFC right now.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts.
Whole career. He's got a whole career.
Who was it this year? Jalen Hurts,
I
Matt
think he
Stafford.
Could.
I think he could.
Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, and Purdy. Oh yeah, I think he could get one of them.
All right, so take the over.
I mean, if you're the Rams, would you look at something like Fields? How much longer does Stafford have?
They drafted Stetson Bennett.
Don't do that.
I don't know if they have the trade capital that Chicago would seek.
What do you think? A second?
I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah.
But like to have a heir apparent lined up, put Sean McVay with Justin Fields. Sean McVay would get the best out of him.
That would be great. Because they offense, they got the running back, 2 receivers, 1 receiver on the way out.
I will
Great
say,
offensive scheme.
I talked about a guy who, coming off 3 years, if you don't know if he's the guy, probably not. Well, Ryan Tannehill wasn't the guy after 3 years. He goes and teams up with Arthur Smith in Tennessee. Arthur Smith did revitalize his career in Tennessee. Very different quarterback than a Justin Fields, but he does have a track record of getting something out of a guy that the rest of the league had kind of written off. And Tannehill was in a worse spot after his years with Miami than Fields is after Chicago, but he does have that track record, or at least that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ultimately, I don't think Chicago trades him. I don't think they trade him because I think the problem is you'll have a problem in the locker room. Once the locker room came out and said we want Justin Fields to be the quarterback, and you trade him after that, it's kind of like.
So you wouldn't trade him?
If I'm Chicago,
yeah.
No, I would build. I would do. I said this like 10 times. If I was Chicago, they're in prime position to do what the Eagles did, what the Dolphins did, what the Lions did. I would literally take this year and build up everything but quarterback. And I would find out this year if he's good or not. I would get the pieces. I would get the offensive line. I get a running back. I get a receiver with all those picks that I have.
And what if he's not the guy?
If he's not the guy, we know he's not the guy. Definitively, we know he's not the guy. Move on from him next year. But now all we need is the quarterback because we got everything else built.
But
well,
they're in position to replace him now. Will you be in position to replace him next year?
I mean,
and real quick, the only reason they're in position to replace him now,
if you replace him now, the new quarterback is dealing with the exact same stuff.
Agreed.
You're in the same spot.
But the only difference
is that even if you still have Justin Fields, you can still win games just his legs alone.
Well, they have the 9th pick because of Justin Fields, the number 1 overall pick's from Carolina. So, if
what are you saying?
Well, you have a chance right now because of the Carolina pick to take your choice of any quarterback in the draft to be your heir apparent, as opposed to if Justin Fields, you may have the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick next year, and then you're scrambling. It's not a good position to draft the guy if it's not Justin Fields.
All I'm saying is you take Caleb Williams, the first pick of this draft. What difference is he gonna make? Because everything else,
you draft a tackle or a receiver with 9.
Okay, and
they have the most free agent money in the entire NFL.
Who going to Chicago?
Money talks.
They ain't going to Chicago. I don't see it because especially the older veterans, because the receivers that you do need, because they'll say, I don't really want to play in the cold.
Well, draft a receiver, sign an offensive lineman.
I don't know.
Oh, you had a question?
I'm kind of in line with Tyvis, and me and Antwison back here talking, saying, Justin Fields is not really getting the credit he deserves. I don't think Justin Fields is that bad, and personally, if I was Chicago, I would keep him, and I would use those 2 draft picks to build around him. I think the whole notion of, Drake May and Caleb Williams and all that's cool, but ain't no guarantee that these dudes are going to be better than Justin Fields. Ain't no guarantee that these dudes are going to be good at all. And I have a hard time drafting potential. And granted, everybody in the draft is potential. Yep. There's no sure lock. Well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting right there on the board. And everybody's talking about Justin Fields need help. That's the best overall player in this draft. So passing on him to me wouldn't make sense at all. And for everybody that says, Justin Fields is not a good quarterback, ask DJ Moore what he think about Justin Fields. Ask DJ Moore how he catching passes from him. Furthermore, to Tyvis' point, if the locker room has already came out and said, I want Justin Fields to be my quarterback, do you really want to create a toxic environment because you wanted to do what you wanted to do?
If you start listening to players in the locker room when you're building your team, it's going to be an absolute catastrophe.
It happened in Vegas. Max Crosby said if you don't hire Antonio Pierce, you might as well trade me.
If you start listening to players in the locker room to make your personnel decisions, it is an absolute catastrophe.
Yeah, you have to do what you feel is best in the best interest of the organization. I know I'm the exact same one saying you can't bring Flacco back for exactly that reason. or we're talking about a backup quarterback here versus the franchise piece. So if they feel like they have to move on from him, they have to move on from him. But I tend to agree. I think he can still work in Chicago with them. I would trade the number if you keep him though. I'd trade the number 1 pick and try and leverage more picks.
That's
out of
what
it.
I would
You don't
do.
take Harrison 1 overall. You trade back, let someone else draft.
That's what I would
Let
do.
someone else come up and get a quarterback and drop to 2 or 3. You don't want to fall too far.
No, you can't drop behind Arizona because
First 3 teams right now all need quarterbacks.
yeah,
So you have
Patriots, Commanders,
to go and Bears. Yeah.
If
in theory, if the Bears take a quarterback,
Right.
that
and if the Cardinals stay with Kyler Murray, you can't drop past the Cardinals because they're gonna take Marvin.
I just listen. If you think Justin Fields is good enough to be that guy,
I think he's at least
you
good
go.
enough for me to get the rest of my team right.
but
And I would still be
wait,
winnable. I still win
no.
games.
But we just talked about this whole conversation with the Browns, Pat Mahomes. You need a guy who can go toe-to-toe with the best in the league. Do you think Justin Fields can go toe-to-toe with the best in the league? If the answer is no, you got to keep trying until you find that
It
guy.
depends on
If it depends, the answer is no.
who you getting. Like it depends on the Justin Fields version you get. Justin Fields have had games where he's looked amazing, but he's also had games where he's
Mike
looked
White
terrible.
threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns once too. Like,
Don't do that, Mike.
Yeah, don't.
I'm just saying, like everyone has good games.
You know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but like if you don't think Justin Fields can consistently go toe-to-toe with the best quarterbacks in football,
Justin Fields threw a Hail Mary against the Browns that should have been caught to win the game.
it should have, yeah. What does one throw make it do?
I mean, they put him in position to still win that game.
Joe Flacco had his worst game of the season, outside of the Texans.
What point? What that got to do with anything? I'm talking
scored
about. I'm
17
just talking about
points.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields played okay that game.
What was DJ Moore's numbers this year?
Very good. DJ Moore.
Balling.
Was this his
That's
like
what it
his
was.
best
It was
year?
balling.
Yeah, by far his best year. By far.
Was this Justin Fields' best year?
That's a low bar.
Yeah, I mean,
True, but was this his best? Was this his best
he
year?
ran for more
This
yards.
is the skinniest I've been in 10 years.
But I'm saying,
I mean, in his career, he's got 40
production-wise, they went out and got him a receiver, and his production
Let's
went
see.
up. So it's like,
So
okay,
go get him another one.
Go get him another one.
Jason,
Go
what's
get
that
him an
line when they
offensive
used with Michael
mind.
Jordan?
What's that?
What was that line with Michael Jordan? They said if you needed a center, okay, you draft Mike and you play him at center. McNuggets
Justin-
said you don't take Marvin Harrison #1. Listen, you draft Marvin Harrison #1 and you put him whatever the hell you need to put him at on the football field. I just don't see how you have the opportunity to draft the overall best player and you don't do it. Now I get it. If you can drop down to 3, and accumulate more picks, cool. But if you're not getting no trade partners, I'm taking Marvin Harrison.
You'll get a
Jr.
trade
#1
partner.
overall.
You'll get a trade
someone,
partner.
someone will trade up for a quarterback. It comes down to what you feel on Justin Fields. Technically, last year, Tyvis, he was more productive, but he played an extra game, so pretty similar. In his 3-year career, he's thrown for 6,600 yards, 40 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. And if you care about quarterback wins, which I do not, he's 10-29 in his career. If you care about I do not. Their team was terrible. Their coaching situation was a joke. But if you care about those kind of things, but